The man bought a bunch of pregnancy tests and they got 2 bars on one side. That's right, they're both pregnant. But that's not surprising. What's strange is that all 4 of them are pregnant at the same time, and the way they got pregnant shocked the world. That day, the men were happily playing in the field. Suddenly, they were stunned by what they saw in the distance. They covered their mouths and noses. They rushed forward to check it out. When they came to the front, there were buffalo carcasses all over the mountain. This is not surprising. What's strange is that the wounds of those animals are all very neat and tidy. What was even more strange was that there was no blood on their wounds. This made Mary, who was studying medicine, very interested, and she touched them with her hands. But just when she thought nothing was wrong, suddenly the cow's eyes blinked, and it scared the hell out of everyone, and they ran for their lives. Back at the camp, they packed up their things and planned to leave. But what they didn't know were going to leave. And then the most incredible thing happened. But they had just driven their car down the hill. Suddenly, the car stopped working. No matter how much Mike tried, the car wouldn't start. But just then, Ruth suddenly heard something. Before anyone could react, suddenly a white light shone into the car, and then they saw something coming toward them. They were so frightened that they hit the car's buttons frantically. But when Mary turned her head, she was stunned by what she saw. Ruth was being strangled by a tentacle. Then the whole group was attacked by the tentacle. But after a flash of white light, everything went back to normal. When they woke up again, nothing had happened. Even the car was back to normal. But then Mary noticed something strange. Ruth had disappeared from the car. But before anyone could react, Ruth suddenly appeared in front of her. Luckily, David slammed on the brakes just in time, but that's how he saved her life. Then Mike grabbed Ruth and put her in the car. But as they continued on their journey, Ruth made a startling discovery that the positions of all of them had changed. Mike had been driving, but now it was David. But they didn't have time to think about it. They drove out of there immediately. When they got home, Mary was throwing up. After calling to find out that Ruth was doing the same thing, they took a pregnancy test. The results showed that they were both pregnant. At first, they thought 2 men had drugged them when they had sex with them. But their suspicions were soon dashed because the 2 men were in exactly the same condition as they were. And then Mary had an idea. She asked the 2 men to take a pregnancy test, but the test was a surprise. The results showed that both men were pregnant, but they obviously didn't believe it, so they drove to the hospital immediately. However, it was during this trip a shocking secret was revealed. Soon they arrived at the hospital, but in just a moment, their bellies were already as big as if they were pregnant for 10 months. When they heard someone knocking on the door, they immediately covered their stomachs. Then they let Ruth be examined first. Otherwise, the 2 men would be arrested and studied if they were pregnant. Then the doctor examined Ruth with his equipment. But when the doctor saw the fetus, she broke out in a cold sweat. She found an excuse and ran out. The others were in a panic. Mary quickly told David to come over and lie on the bed. Then she used the instruments to check David. But when she saw what was in his stomach, Mary was shocked. But just as everyone was about to go up to check, suddenly, a group of men in black rushed in.